What up? It's your boy, the Incredible Man, and yes, I am back at it again, and this is New Amsterdam Season 2, Episode 11, discussion/review, man. So this episode, we see Bloom solving a crisis on her own, Sharpe handling stuff on her own, Max possibly having another love interest / play date with Luna and this new lady, and we also see Reynolds kind of dealing with possibly, probably as well, leaving New Amsterdam to go to San Francisco with his girlfriend. And we have VJ finally letting go of Rihan and his wife and just kind of moving forward. So let's dive right into this episode, man. This episode was good. It was another wonderful episode for New Amsterdam because it's just wonderful series as a whole. But it wasn't too major this episode. It was a very, very laid back, calm episode. Like, there was some stuff happening in each particular case involved with stuff that was happening in the hospital, but it all got resolved at the end of everything got resolved at the end of the episode very, very nicely, and there wasn't anything major. It was just all nice, and it all flowed very, very nicely. So I guess we could start with Bloom and Sharpe. They're in the restroom just hanging out while Bloom is getting a pee sample for Sharpe so she can check and keep her in check about the opioids, so you know she doesn't start using again. And she goes into the whole thing about her and the physical therapy doctor and him using her and stealing the pills and almost framing her. So there was a whole bunch of stuff going on with that. And she was asking how Sharpe was doing, and Sharpe was asking how she was doing. So they were just having like a nice little girl time, but they didn't have to do it in the restroom. I mean, just so we have that, and they're just having a nice time. But this episode, from the preview of last week's episode, we see Sharpe having like a breakdown moment. She was like, enough, and just get off my back and just leave me alone. And in this episode, we see why she was like that, because Max came up to her to tell her about some new plans and ideas that he implemented, but he didn't really get a chance because Sharpe was just kind of running with like 100 things going on in her mind, because she's not the head of oncology anymore, and she's seeing all of these other things take place, like Castro's name on a door, Max in a board meeting, and she used to sit in on all these things, and it's kind of dawned on her that, you know, well, she's not involved with any of that anymore, and it was kind of taking a toll on her. And all of these other doctors, they now know, let's be real, they know that she's no longer the head or like the assistant medical director or anything. So they know that she's not. She's just another normal person. And this was even stated throughout the episode, especially coming from VJ, that, well, we know you're not the medical director, the assistant medical director, or the head of oncology. You're just another physician, but you have Max's ear. So that was this whole episode for her. It was kind of like Sharpe coming out of her shell, because we know she was, let's be real, she was used as like kind of Max's intermediary between the other doctors and everything, and she was kind of his sounding board. So they kind of had like different roles. And in this episode, and at the end, we find out that now those roles are kind of switched. She's no longer his sounding board. She's going to be like right there with him, and he can't sound. So they're just going to be two individual people, and maybe this way with their relationship, they can kind of actually have like a physical love type relationship now that they don't really, they're not going to try to depend on each other as much anymore. So maybe we can kind of see them kind of click in other ways. But we have Sharpe with Max also has to take Luna to her pediatrician. So, you know, that's a whole nother storyline. But while he's handling that, Sharpe is handling all his day-to-day stuff about the new plans he's tried to implement. And she ended up forging his name, giving some of the neurology heads, like typists and everything. She started doing all of this major stuff that Matt, let's be real, Matt, like the lady even stated, his assistant, well, not his assistant, but the lady from accounting or whatever, stated, well, you know, this is stuff that Max would have done. This is exactly what Max would have done. And Sharpe implemented all of those changes. She forged his name and everything. And I like this Sharpe. And I love when she snapped at everybody. I'm with her. I'm not the head of anything. I'm a regular doctor. Leave me alone. But I like this Sharpe. This Sharpe is she knows what she's doing, and she's not letting anybody hold her back. And I love the way that she shut down Castro, because I still feel like Castro set her up. And it's not a bad thing, because, I mean, it's wrong because she was claiming to be her friend, but now Castro sees that there's a lot of pressure behind this job, because we find out in this episode that she has this job now, but she's still coming to Sharp. And Reynolds had a case with a veteran, and like with that had lupus and a whole blood disorder problem and everything. So she had to take on this task. Sharp doesn't have to do this anymore, but granted, Reynolds was still looking for Sharp, so Sharp still helped out in the long run, and that's where at the end of the episode we see her getting in contact with the Marines and getting the synthetic blood to that patient. So she was doing stuff that Max would have done had he been there. He was too wrapped up with Luna, and I love the fact that she handled all of that like a boss without even having the title or anything, but she handled it like a boss. It was absolutely lovely, and I really, really enjoyed it. Then we also have Castro. Like I said, we have Max. I'll do Max later. We have Castro helping Reynolds out in his case, and like I said, she has to take on all of this, and she was like, well, I have to go through all these different channels and stuff, and with Sharp not having the board or anybody breathing down her back, she could just implement all this stuff and be done with it. Oh, well, it's already done now. And helping patients is priority number one. And her whole interaction with Iggy, I feel like kind of gotten him out of his whole obsession with the whole narcissistic disorder type thing, because I don't think he has it. I just think he just really wants to help people. And that's nothing wrong with that. I just think that's his thing, because we see Iggy shine his best and his brightest when he's helping someone. And he done that exactly to a T when he helped this kid with the whole cancer thing. And that was sad with him, and, you know, he wanted to die and everything. But Iggy bringing up the idea of the video, I knew at that moment, it was like, well, he's getting him to say all this emotional stuff so that he'll realize that he can't just not tell his parents. You know, like, they're going to be sad, he's going to be sad. It's a sad time, but he cannot not just tell his parents. So I love the fact that we got to see it, to see the normal Iggy again this episode. And at the end, we see he's still kind of maybe obsessing a little bit, because he's digging through his drawer, and he's eating like the same exact snack while pondering over the disorder book. And, you know, like, he didn't open it, but like, he's just looking at it. So we could tell he's kind of dealing with something, but I don't think it's the narcissistic personality disorder. I just don't. Then we also have Max this episode, and I really want to touch on this because Max is in the pediatric wing, and he's taking Luna to see her pediatrician, and he bumps into this other lady. They start having a chat, a nice long talk and everything, and he goes back and gets Luna seen by her pediatrician, and there's something on the scans that show maybe a little mass in her body, and he's super terrified, and we know what it comes from, because, you know, he lost Georgia, he doesn't want to lose Luna, he had cancer, so there's a whole bunch of different things going on in his mind that he can't really deal with. But at the same time, the pediatrician said something very, very wonderful at the end of this episode. When you come back here, I want you to be Luna's father, not Director Goodwin. I need you to be Luna's father, because we done this check on this biopsy and everything, and it was nothing. It was nothing that steroids wouldn't heal. And he overreacted, sure. He had a point and he had a reason to overreact, but I agree with the pediatrician. When you come back here, let's just be Max. Let's just be Max Goodwin, aka Luna's father. You don't have to be Director Goodwin when you're back here. But he comes in contact with this lady, and after Luna's seen from her pediatrician and everything's fine and everything, he bumps into her and her child, and her child is going under because they're doing like a little minor procedure, and he takes her back there in the back, and she was like, oh wow, thank you. And I was like, lady, yeah, this man got some kind of pulse. You're like, can you do that? Yeah, he can do that. He's the medical director. He can do pretty much whatever he wants to in this whole hospital, you know, within limits and reason. So he takes her back there, and then everything is all said and done. She gives him her number, only for Luna and Bobby to have a play date, but Max was like, oh, no, I can't. And don't get me wrong, the lady was pretty. She was very, very pretty. But, lady, don't get me wrong. I will hurt you, lady. Because Max and Sharp belong together. Don't get in here and crossing our signals and messing stuff up and ruining stuff for us Max and Sharp shippers, okay? I don't need you to come in here and interject your prettiness with your little baby and mess up our Max and Sharp relationship that we got going on. But it's nice to see Max kind of talking with other people, and she lost her husband, so she's a single parent, so it'd be nice for to have them click and kind of go together and have this whole ordeal and just be friends out of the whole situation. I could understand them being friends. Then we have VJ this whole episode. VJ. VJ is still, you know, he wanted Ella to move in. She agreed. She finally got there, and their whole thing has switched. And I'm okay with it. But then, VJ, you haven't cleaned out your house, and you're still holding out for hope for Rion. And I know you still miss your wife. And that was too much for Ella. But what I loved was at the end of the episode, VJ came to his senses and realized what was upsetting Ella. And he cleaned out the whole, he got rid of all of Rihan's stuff. Let's be real. Rihan is trash, man. This dude is garbage. So let's just throw his stuff in the trash. And I don't mean to bash him like that, but I'm being real. He got this chick pregnant. He left her and all of his problems he was having with his dad. And he don't have his stuff together. So let's not care about him because he doesn't seem to care about anything else. So let's focus on Ella and the baby. Let's make sure they're happy and comfortable. And Rihan can sleep on a pile of dirt for all I care. Just being real. And then we have Reynolds. Reynolds, oh boy. His girlfriend has moved to San Francisco already from the jump. And he was thinking of leaving, but he hasn't really gotten around to telling Max. And I love this moment. I knew once he started helping this chick in this episode, the veteran chick, I knew that he was like, man, I don't want to leave. I don't really want to leave. But he was still like in his mindset of him leaving, but Max wouldn't let him. He told Max, like, well, you know, she moving to San Francisco and everything. And Max was like, okay, well, that's cool. Whatever you need to work it out, okay? He wouldn't even let him utter the words that, you know, well, I'm leaving too. He's like, well, you know, long distance relationships is tough, man. So whatever you guys need, you got it, okay? Just tell me, you know. He wouldn't even let him utter the words that, you know, I'm leaving too. No. So I'm glad that Reynolds is sticking around. And I love Max's and Reynolds' relationship because it holds the glue together around everyone else. And I want to keep Reynolds on the show. I don't want Reynolds to leave. Then we have Bloom taking care of a patient as well. And, you know, she was upset about this whole thing about her family's money. She thinking it's cursed. And she used it to help the patient that was malnourished because the cost of living in New York, I imagine, is like super high. And the man said his Social Security check takes care of his rent, and the other half of everything else, he has to sell his food stamps to take care of it, and he doesn't have enough to like buy actual food. He has to eat junk food, and that doesn't last long. And he was malnourished, and Bloom used her money that she invested from family, and she bought out the list. So, and that lady told her it was a big number for that. So I met, what was the price? They never hinted about, they always just cut off the camera or just stopped whenever she was talking about how much she got. And whenever the lady mentioned a specific number, I was like, I wanted to know how much was it? How much was it that she was getting? But they just wouldn't tell us. I'm cool with it though, man. But that's everything. And I'm gonna be honest, with Reynolds' girlfriend gone, I want him and Bloom together so bad now. I'm just being real. I mean, I know they're friends now, but let's get them back in a relationship zone. But that's everything, man. And like I said, it was a nice, mellow episode, but I just really wanted to talk and focus about Sharpe this episode because Sharpe really shined through and we got to see another side of her. And I'm super excited for her character development as a character, and I can't wait for next week's episode, man. This is your boy Dick Incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button till you can't smash it anymore. Comment down below and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them and subscribe. And I'm sorry that this video was so long. I just got super excited talking about this episode because it was just that good. It was a very simple episode, but it was still just a wonderful episode, man. Peace out.